Hi, everyone. Today's Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. Welcome. I'm Jeffrey Morgan, and this is a talk I host twice a week to discuss my experiences on the path of soul transcendence. This offering is brought to you by the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness, with the encouragement and support of my friend John Morton, who holds the mystical traveler consciousness, which is the spiritual consciousness that does the work that we're doing here today. If you're new to the call, the format is simple. We'll start by calling ourselves forward into the light, which is calling our awareness forward into the light of God that's already present. And then we're going to chant three Anai hues. Hu is an ancient name for God, and Anai invokes a quality of empathy and compassion. Then I'm going to play a video clip from my teacher, John Roger. And then I'm going to do a reading from I Am That by Nisargadatta Maharaj. And then we can talk about whatever you would like. And so I see Ron Holnick is with us today. Would you like to call us forward into the light, brother?
Certainly. Lord God of all creation, we come before you today with love in our hearts, for truly, love is all there is. The degree to which we recognize and act accordingly is up to us. And we are so grateful to come together this way and to participate with each other and to allow ourselves to move into the higher reality that is, in fact, our true home. And for this time together, Lord, we give our thanks. So be it.
As you place yourself in consciousness, you move towards. The thing you hold in front of you, you move towards. Hold the image of completeness, fullness, love, God. Hold it before you. Get a picture if you have to that represents that and hold it. Write it on the mirror. Put it in your car. God is driving this car. God is in this car. God is around this car. God will protect this car. Smile at people. They'll smile back. Love people. They will love back. Be spiritual, and you are spiritual. This is the thing that is here. The creative consciousness can create these things. Berush Beshem.
All right. And here's one of my favorite passages from one of my favorite books called I Am That by Nisargadatta Maharaj, Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. And the entire book is kind of written in a question answer format because it's, I believe, just transcripts or cleaned up transcripts of actual question and answers with that person. So the question is, I find it hard to grasp what exactly do you mean by saying that you are neither the object nor the subject? At this very moment, as we talk, am I not the object of your experience and you the subject? Answer. Look, my thumb touches my forefinger. Both touch and are touched. When my attention is on the thumb is the feeler and the forefinger, the lesser self. Shift the focus of attention and the relationship is reversed. I find that somehow by shifting the focus of attention, I become the very thing I look at and experience the kind of consciousness it has. I become the inner witness of the thing. I call this capacity of entering other focal points of consciousness love. You may give it any name you like. Love says, I am everything. Wisdom says, I am nothing. Between the two, my life flows. Since at any point of time and space, I can be both the subject and the object of experience, I express it by saying that I am both and neither and beyond both. Okay, there you go. Almost every exchange in that book will have you ponder for a while, so enjoy pondering that one. Uh, all right, Carla. And what actually, before we get started, if there's anybody new on the call who wants to share or even just put your name out so that everybody in the group can send you some light, whether you're new to MSIA or new to Soul Transcendence or new to what we're doing here on this call or new to sharing with me, please raise your hand and your digital hand, and I will absolutely call on you and give you preferential treatment. But for now, Carla, please.
Hi. I don't see anybody's hand going up, so okay.
No, no, you're good. That's my standard
Okay.
public service
Yeah.
announcement.
Yeah. Um, so my question, I think, is about um power in the world. And I know ministers who say just me being is enough, talking about themselves, and they're content with that. I cannot get over not being content with that. Um, I had just recently at work, I had an opportunity to make a lateral movement. It was not a promotion, no more money, none of that, but it
Okay.
had a little more visibility in the entire community in which I work, and a little more, I don't know if it's more power, but perceived. It's more of a focus for people. Anyway, and I passed over it. It was offered to me. I had the right to take it, and I said no. And then I changed my mind, and they're like, "Oh, no, 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 no! You missed the deadline. You can't have it now," which was total BS. They totally could have given it to me if they wanted to. They didn't want me in the position to begin with, and I knew that kind of. Um, so I, but I've mostly kind of come to peace with it because that was a few weeks ago, but now there's still that lingering, like, purposefulness. Like, I want to be purposeful. I am purposeful in the job I'm already doing. It's important, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't get past that, like, desire to have more power and visibility in my workspace. I need some help with that. I want to get past that and be content with doing a good job at what I'm already doing.
Okay.
Can you help me? Please help me.
Well, power in the world is to a large extent the product of karma that's set up for you. And unfortunately, the karmas of the mind are not always equivalent to the karmas of the professional life. So you may have in your mind that you should be a great CEO, and you may have in your karma of the world that you're going to be working from home and doing a simple job, or government functionary or something. And that's just called being human. We can walk and chew gum. We can work two different types of karma at the same time. But in terms of who you want to be in the world, I think first and foremost for me, if I think that I can somehow get something by being someone in the world, that's the first challenge, right? Because that thirst and that yearning inside of you is coming from a very, very valid place, but it's a thirst and a yearning that can only be fulfilled within. Now, I have a karma that propels me into the world despite my best efforts. And the interesting part about it is when I get caught in this cycle of seeking recognition out in the world and seeking status and seeking those things, I usually end up with more thirst and more suffering and more of those things that I don't want, like you're describing. In terms of the regret that you're experiencing, the question becomes whether your mind is disagreeing with it or not, you probably were speaking to what was clear and what was on target energetically. And now you're just arguing with it because your mind wants the recognition and the things that go with the job, which is fine. But I think the key is to understand that there are no such thing as external problems. There's no such thing as anything but internal problems. The only problems that you have are problems that you have in the relationships inside of you. And those problems usually originate from things like comparison and judgment and separation and thinking that you're different from or in competition with the people around you. And if you think about where does that competition come from? Where does that need to be better than or less than or hierarchy? Usually it comes from something that gets wired in when we're very young that tells us that we have to do something in order to be loved, that we have to be somebody other than who we naturally are, being how we naturally are, breathing in and out to be loved. And that's the big bill of sale that we're all sold through the ego. In terms of regretting and in terms of self-judgment, in terms of all those things that come with trying to be someone out in the world, my only solution is to go inward and actually look to the source. Look to the actual origin of the suffering. Like if I was to ask you, what is it that getting that position would mean that isn't true right now? Oh, you've muted yourself. I don't think you should mute yourself because then I have to unmute you.
I'm sorry. I thought there was feedback. That's why.
Oh, got
Um,
it.
I'm sorry. Ask me that question again. I got distracted.
Like you do. What do you believe would be so different if you got this job than if you didn't have this job in terms of the fulfillment that you're looking for?
Um, I'm not sure. Um, the people I would be supervising wanted me to take it. They're like, why didn't you take it? And I was like, because our boss is going to make things really hard. And I just don't need that. Like you said, my initial take to say no was accurate. Um, I'm not, I would be, I don't know. In my mind, I'd be more visible. Uh, I don't know. It's a different level of importance in the workplace and all the partners we work with. That's not in the workplace, but it's all the other agencies that I work with that you're a little more visible in that particular position,
Got it. So it's recognition.
I guess. Yeah, because I know I could do the job and do it really well. And I don't know, people would be like, oh yeah, call her. She knows her stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I really don't know what it is I'm seeking for because every blank I try to fill in, I'm like, eh, that doesn't really.
Yes, that's why I'm saying you got to go to the origin of that. You got to go to the deeper level. At what point in your life did you decide that you needed to do something in order to be loved or accepted or,
Oh gosh, forever. I
yeah.
mean, I did get recognition from my parents. They're like, you did a great job, or, I didn't feel, I don't know. Somewhere along the line, yeah,
Yeah, no,
I
no, you're right.
decided.
You're absolutely right. And recognition is different than encouragement. It
Right.
is because
It is.
recognition is the star. Recognition is the status. Recognition is the sense of superiority. Recognition is the sense of separation. Encouragement is simply like I'm very careful about this energetically. Like with my son, I don't I will often just encourage him to try hard and learn stuff and figure things out. But it's not about the achievement. It's not about the award. It's about are you gaining value from doing this? Are you giving value from doing this? But we
Yeah,
get it we get into this rat race of recognition
yeah. And achieve.
and achievement.
Hmm.
And look, how can we help it, right? I mean, biologically, we're wired to think that positive reinforcement, positive human interaction will make us live longer. I remember reading, there's this wonderful book I read called, what is it? A World Without Email. A World Without Email. It's a really fun book. No, it's true.
You can't imagine anymore.
In the intro to the book, there was this really wonderful description of a anthropological study or something of like a hunter-gatherer nomadic tribe, like very old, and you could literally predict a person's lifespan based on the number of positive human, like positive reinforcement human interactions they had on a daily basis.
Hmm.
And you just think about the biological pressure you have to respond to an email.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Right. But see, the only way to get free of the rat race is to understand what you're really going for and give it to yourself.
Hmm. Okay. Got
What is it that I'm trying to receive by doing this or by having that? And then go to the origin of that and demonstrate that that's already present for you. And the way I will often do it is I'll say a statement. I should have taken that job. Yeah, I want that job so that I can blank.
Right.
So I want that job so that I can blank. And then I start with blank again and I say, I want blank so that I can blank. And you just keep going until you figure out what's really driving all of this. Because most of human consciousness is, and behavior and experience even, seems to be correlated to like a strategy for fulfilling needs. And those essential needs would be like, I know God loves me. I know God's with me. I know I'm one with God. Those kinds of things. And so a lot of what we do in terms of behavior level is trying to manipulate our environment or scheme to try and get those things met. Now, you could say, well, maybe it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs or something like that. Well, maybe if you add the bit that Maslow added at the very end, transcendence, the very end of his career. But I think it's more than that. I think it's just this essential, we come into this world seeking to complete karma. That's the ultimate, like, we come into this world with karma, meaning we're born laden with things, and we're seeking resolution and completion of those actions. Now, the biggest key to being free of the rat race for me is to observe the karma that is seeking to fulfill itself without identifying with the karma that is seeking to fulfill itself.
Mm.
So if you were to say, who is the me that is seeking this new job or that thinks
Mhm.
she needs this new job in order to matter?
Mhm.
And then talk to her about that or observe that karma or see what's being complete. At the end of the day, for me, being spiritual is not about avoiding your karma. It's really about becoming a good shepherd of your karma. You know what needs to be complete in your life and you do it. Now, obviously, there is the whole don't hurt yourself and don't hurt others. Take care of yourself so you can help take care of others. Use everything for upliftment, growth, and learning. But to a large extent, the karmas that we have, unless we have some particularly difficult karmas, are just like very ordinary things that need to be completed. The degree to which we take our divine energy and express into that and identify with it is the degree to which we're being pulled around and ping-ponged around. But if I start to remove, like you said, at work I'm like this, or these are like, you seem to have very distinct, like this is my home life, this is my work life,
Yeah.
this is how I think. Yeah, that's actually works against you.
Yeah.
And the more you can decontextualize and say, there's only one context, I'm having a conversation with the divine right now. That's the only context going on. The more you can be free of all that. Because like I've offered a few different solutions of working within the system, but ultimately the only way out is in. And it becomes the spiritual exercises, it becomes the different perspective that looks at your life and goes, wow, I have some really messy karma at work. It's very entertaining for me. But you don't identify with it, you just go, I get the privilege of having that really interesting dynamic with my boss. Like I traditionally, for a while, didn't have particularly good boss karma. So I would just, I broke it like it broke very recently. It just completed. But up until then, it's like I had to get to a place where it was like, I just had the most ridiculous conversation I've ever had in my life with my boss. How does a human come up with that? You know, and you look at it, but for a while I would get righteous and I would call the person and be like, oh my God, that asshole, how could they do that? They were so unfair and da 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 da. And then after a while, I just went, wow, my karma must be such that they couldn't do anything other than say that ridiculous stuff. For all I know, they might come out of that meeting and go, how could I have possibly said that? What came over me? Well, what came over them was my karma. And they were kind enough to act it out for me.
I had a circumstance recently with my boss where he was just being really pissy with me all day, actually a couple days. And I was like, hey, knock that off. And then I went, wait a minute. There are circumstances where people's negative karma bounce up against your light, and you're just there to hold for them while they're like processing whatever their negative stuff is. So
That
at
all
least
that
I
all
had that awareness.
that all sounds good. I mean, not taking it personal. No, no. I mean, not taking it personally sounds like a nice thing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the fabric of your experience is karma. So you can
Yeah.
say, "Oh, they're bouncing up against my light," or "Oh, this is that," or you're just doing your karma because you only have karma with yourself.
Right.
See, but all of that's like a story.
So are you saying he was like reflecting my pissiness up to me to look at?
I'm saying you walk through your life, and your life is a play written by you, and you hand out scripts to people. And you're saying, I need you to play the role of the boss who doesn't
Got it.
understand me because I didn't complete the karma with the father who didn't understand me. So you're going to be my father and you're going to be unfair to me and I'm going to feel righteously indignant. And then you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We walk through light giving out our karmic script to people, and they are kind enough to act it out for us.
I love that analogy. Great.
But my point is, none of it has anything to do with your value. And this goes back to the original thing I said, which is figure out what inside of you got confused about what valuing yourself looks like
Yeah.
and what recognition really is. Competition, like you could say competition on one level is the key to capitalism and all this other stuff that seems to benefit the world in some way. But in terms of like our own happiness, as far as I can tell, competition doesn't really competition with yourself, like trying to be better than you are in terms of like evolution of the lower self and evolution of the habits is great.
Hmm.
But I see nothing beneficial in interpersonal comparison because ultimately your comparison is going to be through the filter of your karma. You're not going to see them for who they are. You're going to see your karma for what it is. And that judgment's just going to ricochet back at you. So it doesn't really work. And in the end, it becomes like everybody just needs to do their karma. I'm going to do my karma. And I'm just so happy they're doing their karma so that I don't have to. And, I had several crazy bosses in my life. And with each of them, I had to come back to the realization that oh wow, I thought that my job was to be righteous and like have the right thing happen. Is that my job? No, my job is to work and clear my karma, complete my karma, and my job is to love that person. And how do I know that my job is to love that person? Because they're there.
Yeah.
That's why my job is to love. If they weren't there, then maybe not. But the more I can enter in, it's like the more I can allow my consciousness to touch into them in that loving presence and to really tune into how they experience and really know and understand what it is that's behind all of that. At the end of the day, we're all just doing our karmas. It all seems so real and so crazy and so important in the corporate environment. And at the end of the day, everybody, whether they're the top CEO or there's somebody pushing a broom and everything in between, are just working their karma, figuring out how to figure out how I love you can be the thing that they know. That's what people are just trying to figure out, and nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody. I mean, some people have a more informed, no idea what's going on. Pretty much nobody has any idea what's going on.
I love it. Okay.
But people do the best they can with what they know, and
Yeah.
what they know is their karma. And it's like you could be the top CEO, and then all of a sudden you get a diagnosis, and your sole focus is figuring out how to reduce cancer cells.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like in the span of a day, it was what's the board going to think of our performance from Q4? And then bam, how do I reduce cancer cells?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right? And what changed? What changed the reality? Just our focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only thing that changed. And your need for competition or your need for recognition, see, that's more fundamental. That's pretty hardwired into your basic self. There's a little bit of competitiveness, a little bit of something.
Hmm.
That's something that you can work and you can start to heal. And it's great to compete with yourself, but it's like if it becomes more like this is that person's karma to work and this is my, how do I know that it's not your karma to be the manager of those people? Because you're not the manager of those, you're not the manager of those people.
Manager of another group of people.
You're the manager of another group of people.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
It,
Okay.
it, it's like you can have arguments with the truth is for a lot of us, the first thing that we say when we don't have time to screw it up with our thinking is usually the right thing. That first response is usually your basic self going, I don't want to manage those people in that situation. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
But the truth is when you have a karma to go do something, you would be put in that position. Trust
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You try you like if that was a line for you, you would say no, and they'd say you need to reconsider
Yeah.
because they'd make a threat, and you'd be like, okay, I guess I'm taking that job after all, you know?
Yes. And every other transfer I've had has been involuntary. So they could have easily said, well, for continuity and because you have the knowledge, we want you to take this, whether you like it or not. Uh,
Yeah,
and they didn't. And then when I changed my
that's
mind,
right.
oh, no, 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 no.
They broke character in the middle of the scene. They're supposed to volunteer you to do things. They're not supposed to ask you if you want to do things. They
Right.
completely broke. So of course you had to say no. They weren't doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If they wanted you to do something, they should have just told you had to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
But we program it. I mean, down to the argument. And it's weird when you actually start clearing the source of the karma, you, when you actually start clearing the you that is participating in that, the subject, the
Yeah.
ego, the thing, when that starts to disintegrate into that loving that's just the presence, the awareness that's there, you'll go into the same situation and and you'll forget your line. They'll have their script and they'll start the argument and then you'll not know what to do. And then all of a sudden the argument will fizzle and everybody will leave and go, well, where the hell was that argument?
Yeah. Okay.
But as soon as you understand there is no such thing as an unspiritual context, then you open up the possibility for greater freedom in that. Do you get what I mean? Like you've got your work, you say, oh, this is work, this is not a spiritual context. Well, maybe you don't use spiritual words because you don't want to get like a complaint to HR or whatever. But
Yeah.
but who cares about words anyway?
Yeah.
What
No,
you have,
yeah.
what I mean, it, petty tyrants are some of the best accelerants for evolution.
I just used that term the other day.
Yeah,
Yes, they
I've
are.
grown a lot from petty tyrants.
Yeah,
I still grow from petty tyrants.
absolutely.
Thank God I ask that the Lord bless all petty tyrants.
Yep.
If you're wondering if you're my petty tyrant, you probably are, so feel blessed.
Oh boy. Okay, you've given me a lot to work on. Thank you so
I
much.
gave you a couple dimensions. So if you want to
Yeah.
stay in the illusion of all that, I can at least, I I gave you some, you need to at least figure out what part of you is after what.
Yep. Yep.
Your mind has a I need the job so I can feel whatever,
Yeah.
but there's a reality called there's a part of you that's seeking something and thinks that getting a job is a good strategy for having that experience. If you get clear on that, then you can easily fulfill it another way and then you won't even feel the difference. But the real way out of it, just let go of the competition, let go of the comparison. I know that's a toughie. I'm not saying let go as in stop doing it. I'm actually saying let go as in stop identifying with it.
Yeah.
Observe the karma inside of you and just find it very cute and funny that part of you wants to compete.
Okay. Sometimes I laugh at it, but yeah, that's
Yes.
deeper look at it.
Yeah, a deeper look at it and what it's trying to accomplish for you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And how much of it might be just karmic curriculum, karmic script coming in from a past life that you just got to complete, and then you become the good shepherd of your karma.
Okay. Right on. I got work to do.
Well, play around with it.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. I appreciate it. Thank
God
you.
bless you. Thank you. All right. AJ, I saw you like raising your hand and then putting it back down again. Do you want to talk? I think you said you were new. Or did I scare you away? Oh no, there you are. Guess you weren't scared away. Hey Jay.
No, not scared away. I just kept going back and forth, hesitating to ask a question or not. But how's it going, Jeffrey?
Hi.
Yeah, this is my first time here. I've been around the movement, I guess you could say, kind of adjacently through my parents. And yeah, what comes to my mind for a question, I seem to I've been struggling for months now, or at least telling myself that I've got all of the information, but I'm yet to put it into action and kind of change. And that willingness to change, like really going inside to find the willingness to change certain behaviors and just surrender these certain behaviors. And yeah, I don't even know if I have a question. That's why I kept raising my hand and putting it down. um,
Or you're kind of circling around it, huh? So you have a habit that you'd like to change, or you have a circumstance that you'd like to be different. Is that accurate?
exactly. Yeah. A pattern behavior that I've been asked to give up because it's affecting my relationships. And it's one that I don't want to give up. There's a part of me that doesn't want, the truth is that, if I wanted to give it up, I'd give it up, but I just still don't want to give it up. And I'm judging that process of not wanting to give it up.
I see.
And
Um,
yeah.
and and I realize you're in front of 250 other people, but could you would you be comfortable saying more or no?
um, Let me check in. I guess I'm here. So,
Well, you got a lot of light being held for you, so it's cool to put it in the circle anyway.
yeah. Yeah, so there's I've been using manipulative what these behaviors have been named as manipulative. I've named them myself. Manipulative, conniving, and scheming behaviors. And
Oh, fun.
more recently there was a lot of maliciousness in them. I mean, I've really been going through like a just a huge, I think, awakening and like releasing of karma patterns, whatever it may be, and really beautiful time in my life as I get into altitude, knowing how much I'm releasing. But I've been in the muck and the mire for sure, and really, and again, so another thing I'm dealing with is I feel like I know all the information. I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it. I know when I check in and ask the traveler and get all the information like what needs to be done, I'm getting it. I'm getting it in the writings and in the forgiveness and whatnot, but just struggling to do it and really wanting to do it. And I feel like the key is really loving God, and and I've just and I haven't been loving God, and
Well,
it's like
I
that's
look,
really
I mean, all of that sounds really pretty, and I respect that. And I think there's incredible power in being honest. So like if you don't want to change, it's like first off, I still don't fully understand scheming and conniving in relation to what.
people like yeah,
So
relationships, trying to
so
get what I want, or even really myself.
got it. So people have called you out for trying to manipulate them to get what you want.
Hmm.
Okay. And you said that you may not want to change that behavior. Why do you think that is?
There's a part of me that doesn't want to let it go because I think I've used it for so long to get what I want, and it's probably served me for a really long time. But I know now
Could you give some examples of the things you've wanted that you've gotten? Like what would be a scenario where you were manipulative or conniving?
hmm, I don't know if I'm really feeling directed to share because I don't want to necessarily give it energy. Um, so I don't know if I want to get too much into the details of it. And so I understand if that kind of prevents the learnings or the sharing of it. But yeah, I'm not feeling really called to get too into
No,
it right
I
now.
mean even like a hypothetical, not like a
Okay,
not
well,
like an actual example.
okay. I mean, it could just be something as simple as, or I can use an example with myself. I mean, it's an example with myself that I can manipulate myself. I guess this is different than getting what I want, but the ways I can manipulate myself is really by telling myself I'm doing something with one intention, but that's not the true intention.
Got it.
Um, but in terms of maybe manipulating to get what I want, it could be like, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I'm not being too helpful right now.
It's fine. It's fine. No, it's I think that there's so many different versions of manipulative out there, and I think more people are manipulative than call it that. And I'll just call myself out and say, when have been in the past overly diplomatic, or when I've been placating, or when I've tried to, send a positive impression in a certain way, I'm in a sense trying to manipulate people's perception of me. And I would say for many years, it was like a trap in a way. It was like a prison because I had to be the good son. I had to be the good son-in-law. I had to be the good MSIA person. And I had to pretend like I totally understood what was going on all the time. And I had to do all those things. And I think that I would try to manipulate people's perception of me. And it created this sense of fear because I couldn't emotionally handle not being the image that I had created in my head for myself. And when that got shaken, there was such freedom in just being very, very clear with people about my agendas. Like even coming into a conversation, I tend to just tell people, hi, I have this agenda as I'm coming into this conversation, and I'm really open to looking at other things. But like
Yeah.
being very direct and being very loving in that directness became extremely liberating for me. And the problem is like I had the tricky part about changing a pattern like you're talking about with manipulation where you kind of you tell people, and I'm assuming you use words and things like that to tell people or convince
Yeah.
people of something in order to get what you want, or convince people, or if
Or
they're angry,
emotions too.
yeah, or tell them that you feel something when you don't, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the truth is it we are beings of story. It's very, very natural. And most people do use story to handle the kind of emotional sensitivities that I'm talking about. It it's tricky because usually we build an identity around storytelling, and then our behavior will start to violate that story. And then the manipulation will come from not being able to live up to that standard and yet wanting to maintain that image with people, because it's this scary thing about like, are they going to reject me? Am I going to lose something? Am I going to be exposed?
Mm-hmm.
Does all of that somewhat align with what you've been experiencing?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been so many dimensions to what I've been going through, but I definitely think a big part of it has been similar to what you were sharing of like I've just put on this facade for so long, being as the spiritual one, as the one who does so many SCs and does so much freeform writing and so much forgiveness, but
Yeah.
the truth is I'm not doing them even from a loving, devoted intention, but almost from that egoic place of look at me doing all the work with when not I'm not really doing the
Yeah.
work. And I think that's holding up that facade has kind of been now not shot through, but seeing through. And it's, I think, yeah, like that's definitely been part of it as well.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
sorry, it broke up, but um,
No, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was, yeah. I heard you jump in
yeah.
there.
So no, oh no, no, it went silent, so I thought you were complete, but I think it just broke up. But you can continue if you'd like.
No, no. I think, yeah, there's that. And um, I think it's also, yeah.
I'll just say, for me, the big turning point was I'm never going to say like I reached this point where so much got shook that I just said, I'm never going to say anything or claim anything or be like go anywhere near what is not my experience. So I started admitting that I didn't get something or that something didn't make sense to me or that I didn't do something or didn't, whatever it is or SCs or what, like this entire talk is based on me just being super duper honest about my humanness and my stuff in MSIA and everything that I do because it's in a way this is how I love myself because I'm not when I started admitting I just don't get that thing. That's when the spiritual experiences started to come in and actually show me that thing. So like for example,
Mm,
I had this whole argument like I really struggled and didn't want to admit because the whole Jesus Christ thing is such a big deal in what we do that I just didn't like I didn't get it. It's like why are we telling all these stories and why are we reading from the Bible if the Bible is such a sus book and like what we're doing all this and I was arguing with and arguing and I but I admitted it. I finally admitted it to people around me. I admitted it to like and it's like forget it's fine if people judge me for that. But then I actually had a direct experience with that and went, okay, I actually don't have that issue anymore. But what opened the door to that was that moment of just, hey, I don't get that. I don't understand that. So I started taking great pleasure in directness and that honesty and that
mm,
not humility, but just it's so freeing to tell people like, yeah, I struggle with that too. And even on these talks, like I tell people exactly what I'm struggling with and exactly what I haven't figured out and how I'm working at it. It's very liberating. And the truth is like for me, all of that got destroyed and I was left with like love and serve the one in front of you, do your SCs, simple, right? But then all of a sudden I'm getting these awards, Minister of the Year, Service Award, all this kind of stuff. And I had no idea how that happened. I was utterly confused because all I was doing was loving and serving the one in front of me. So it's almost like we're sold this notion, I think, that's very conceptual about spirituality and what it looks like and how big it is and how to behave and how to use these words and this lingo. But I found the most spiritual place to live for me is just loving the person in front of me. If I could do that one, if I could just genuinely be present with and love that person and let that loving be louder than whatever my need for approval is. Because I did have like a very strong need for approval and have still a need for approval. It's just very human. But when the loving got bigger, it's ridiculous. Like, and it's funny. I mean, but I own it. I have that capacity to manipulate too, for sure. And it's subtle, and it does start with our manipulation of ourself, for sure, for sure. And that big manipulation is the gymnastics I need to do to meet the standard I'm buying into inside of me. And if I could just let go of the standard, then all of a sudden I can just work the way I work and be okay with that. But I appreciate you sharing. I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't go full in, but
No,
I just
you did what's present.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I think it's an opportunity for all of us to look at the ways that we manipulate ourselves and others. I think it's I have to discipline myself daily to be direct and to just speak the truth as I see it.
Hmm.
And I think that the higher version of that, like there is a point at which it becomes less about saying what sounds nice or what wants, where even your very voice, even your very beingness is just in service to the spirit. And you go, okay, Lord, what would you have me say? What would you have me do? And you just surrender to that. And that one's real uncomfortable because sometimes the things that come out of my mouth people don't like.
Hmm.
And then I get to feel that.
Yeah.
But there's integrity in that because I did check inside and the spirit was on saying that. And oftentimes it turns out well in the end. It just doesn't turn out well for my ego in the moment. So,
Yeah, I think the work for me, part of the work I've realized is like the demand I place on or the frustration I place on myself for not changing, thinking I need to change, and that's not really helping the change. And I think coming into just the full acceptance of it is really going to help me move forward rather than placing the demand on it.
yeah, and I think recognizing that a lot of what you're dealing with is just the karma that you're working, even your personality, even your perception. You're not the personality, you're not the thoughts, you're not the emotions. The more you can reference from soul awareness through things like spiritual exercises, the more you can just witness the part of you that's going through that without necessarily getting pulled into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about fixing something that's broken. Like you seem to have this mentality that like there's something that's wrong that needs to be fixed or there's something that's off that needs to be corrected. Now that may be so, but that's a product of choice. That's just how I choose to live in this life, how I choose to direct my energy. But when we're talking about it's like even those to me, what the manipulation comes from is the parts of you that you have decided are unlovable. And if you could fully accept the full picture of it, there would be no need to manipulate.
Yeah.
So there's this opportunity, like the work that I've done with myself has been recognizing the parts of me that I have condemned, that I have decided are not worthy or decided that are unlovable. And the more I start to unconditionally love those parts of me, the more I do the forgiveness and do the aspects of, and not just forgiving, like sometimes we do forgiveness, like I forgive myself for judging myself as this horrible thing that I must not be. But really, it's I forgive myself for judging this part of God that is also me. Like the manipulator is also me, and it's also God, and it's also loved, and it's also blessed. And if you could integrate that whole thing in there, you may find that there's no need to manipulate because you love yourself. So I haven't gotten much luck, candidly, on the behavioral level. Stop doing this thing that isn't spiritual. I'm not good, and maybe it's just I'm a rebellious punk, or I don't know, it's something. I just I don't seem to get the result. Instead, if I just look at rebellious punk or look at manipulator or look at those things as parts of me that I haven't yet fully loved, fully integrated, fully accepted, and parts of me that were set up to achieve a result that is probably very valid. Like what you have behind needing to manipulate is probably very valid. But it's just you've chosen an approach that is creating karmas that you don't like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't like to me the whole like white knuckle discipline approach, just don't do that. You shouldn't just don't manipulate. That doesn't work. I'm somebody that kind of needs to get to the root of it and understand what is it that I decided was so unlovable in me that I needed to manipulate.
Hmm.
And how do I bring that loving in so that it's like I used to always fight with it's funny, I used to always fight with my wife and I'd be sitting around, oh, you're so lazy. And I'd be like, what are you calling lazy? I work 80 hours a week. How dare you? Blah, 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 that whole thing. But then it's like you stop and go, wait a minute, when did I decide being lazy is unlovable? And then you clear it and you go, and it's like then the next conversation, oh, you're so lazy. I just smile and go, yeah, I'm being real lazy. I love it. And it just
Yeah.
clears. It's just
Yeah.
there's no energy on it. There's no argument. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
If you could love the full extent of your humanness,
Hmm.
there would be no manipulation going on. It's like I worked with people who are womanizers, or I don't know what the female equivalent of that. Let's just say their their intent is not to settle down. And they're like, oh my God, I need to cure that. It's so unspiritual. And my response was, I don't know. I mean, if that's the karma that you need to work, just be honest with the person and let them know that that's your intention. And it seems real clear to me. Now, there's some spiritual ramifications too. If you're going to sleep around, you're going to probably pick up some energies depending on who you're sleeping with because there's energy exchange. But at the same time, there's nothing inherently wrong with any of that as long as we're dealing in honesty and clarity. So, in a sense, that's why I say if I have an agenda, I just go into the conversation and say, hey, I have this agenda because I just don't want that to interfere with the flow of loving. Once it's on the table, it's not in the way. I mean,
Hmm.
I'll even tell people in a first impression, I'll be like, wow, I find myself really wanting your approval. Maybe that means we'll be friends. No, I'm serious. It's just try it. Try being that direct and see what happens.
Yeah.
People end up loving you. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
It may seem far away.
No, it feels close. It definitely feels close because I've been working through this for a while now. So I'm like, it's close, man. I'm almost there. I just gotta just keep working on it. But I think one of the bigger lessons I learned through this process, which has been around 5 months of it, in the beginning, there was so much hatred, condemnation, and trying to cut out the manipulative parts in me and trying to kill the manipulative parts in me. Like I realized like that's what I was doing when I was doing the forgiveness. It wasn't loving them. It was like I need to get rid of them. And I went through that, and then I realized, okay, that's not working. And so hearing what you're sharing about really loving them, loving these places, love
And
just
listening,
and listening.
understand them, be with them,
Mm-hmm.
love them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't,
Yeah.
you've been treating them like they have no place in the universe and they don't belong inside of you. Treat them like
Right.
they belong. That doesn't mean you have to choose that in your life, but you can dialogue with that. And by the way, you may like the manipulative parts of you if you're talking yourself out of a ticket, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You might like the manipulative
Mm-hmm.
parts of you if you're getting yourself out of a
Right.
that.
Right.
It's not negative, it's a tool.
Right.
You are not the
Mm.
tool. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
ego is a way of working in the world. It's not who you are. And so
Right.
manipulation isn't who you are. It's a tool and it's been running you up until now.
Yeah. And I think the intention is important for me for my lessons as well, because intention is everything. And the maliciousness when that started coming in, that's what really brought everything forward. And I was like, oh, that's got to clear
But
that for sure.
but
So
then even loving the malicious one in you.
yeah, that's hard. But
I,
I see,
but I know, but I'm telling you, the second you
yeah, yeah.
decide a part of you doesn't belong and is wrong,
Mm,
it's just a vicious cycle of violence inside. I mean, a
yeah.
lot of you ask, it's like, how can somebody behave like a malignant narcissist? You know, people who are so beyond the pale in terms of that level. Usually it's a deep, deep insecurity and a narcissistic image of themselves that they will lie, cheat, steal, and kill to maintain. And you go, well, we should just lock them all up. And I go, well, I've worked with some of them, and the only way through it, even in those extreme cases, which I'm not at all implying are like you, but these extreme cases, the key is make it safe to be, and then be honest. If the honest answer is I don't have positive intentions with this person, that's very powerful to just at least say that I have negative intentions with this person. And I and then you set your intention and you say, I would like to be at a place where I have healed whatever is there to be healed, and I actually am in love with this person. I
Mm.
actually have, I've cleared, it's not just, oh, I've cleared it and we're okay and I tolerate them. It's like I see God in them and I love them and I'm willing to clear anything that's in the way of that. And then you clear it. And it's totally doable at that point. What's not doable is if I'm busy trying to convince people that I don't do that and I'm not that person and I don't have negative feelings. That's when it becomes impossible
Mm.
because you're putting all your energy into burying the body. So that's why I'm saying it actually makes it worse to condemn those parts of you.
Yeah.
It actually causes it to reinforce and
Yeah.
sometimes get stronger
Yeah.
versus if you can just sit with it and be like, beloved, tell me what you're really after here. What's behind all this? And you just listen to that part of you. You'd be surprised. You may learn some amazing things about yourself. And
Mm.
maybe you bring in a spiritual teacher to sit with you. You bring in like a JR or Jesus Christ to sit in the room and just hold the light and heal that part of you.
That's beautiful.
And there are some people who come in with a karma of manipulation and they can't even, just have to be real careful because people believe everything they say. Like that
Hmm.
is a karma, by the way. Like you could literally see, there are people in the world that like, they could, just about anything they say, they could tell you that, you know, they have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn and you would believe them. And that's their karma. And if you have that, it's like, you just got to be careful. Use it for good, maybe. Right. But it's not wrong or right. It's just being aware of the implications and the impact and being a responsible creator on this level. It has nothing to do with wrong or right. It's just karma and how you work it.
Hmm. Oh, that no, there's so many lessons there for sure, and it's just a choice. At the end of the day, it's a choice,
Yeah.
and being kind and compassionate with it.
I think being kind and compassionate with yourself will allow you to be more kind and compassionate with others, will allow you to
Definitely.
be more kind and compassionate. And being kind and compassionate will make you more available to understand what's actually going on, the system that was set up that leads to the manipulation, the whole thing. It allows you to like look under the hood a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
God bless you. Hope that helped, man.
God bless you too. God bless you, everyone. Thank you for all the hearts and all the light. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you sharing, AJ. That was very brave. Thank you. Well, all right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. All right. Well, God bless you all. I love you. The blessings already are. Thank you.